go from there. So, yeah, genuinely in a really awesome spot myself. Do you want to get into the Spotify analytics? I can see Finn's awful. Like, we should be talking about this, but Finn's just looking over at the analytics. Like, can I say this?
Can I say the numbers? Yeah.
Right, come on,
No,
tell us.
I like the numbers, and then I'll talk about my prep as well.
You're more than welcome. You're 2 days in, mate.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. There's a lot to cover, mate.
Yeah.
To be fair, the first 2 days is probably the biggest change that you're going to have.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, mate, I've pulled away like 300 carbs. I'm not going to do that again at any other point, am I?
You're not hungry?
I am struggling.
Mate, are you sure those carbs aren't too low already?
I've lost my glycogen.
Shout out
lost
to Beth.
my glycogen stores.
Shout out to Beth Fitness, who, like, week 2 of prep goes, Reece, your carbs not too low already? Yeah,
Far
cheers,
too low.
Beth. Yeah, cheers.
Anyway, so analytics. I've got it on the screen now. This is for Spotify. So, to be fair, it's pretty cool. All time, we've had 45,000 plays.
That's quite cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
506 on average per episode.
Mm-hmm.
794 people have listened to the podcast in the last 7 days. It's pretty cool. And we have 589 Spotify followers. So that's the number that we used last time. I think it was like 565 or something last time. So that's gone up.
Yeah.
So, and then on the ratings, we've got 292.
That's good, though.
That is good.
Can
we get that up to 300 by next time?
How many YouTube subscribers have we got?
YouTube, we're only on 172. So
I feel like that could be better.
Yeah, I don't think people have realised quite yet that we're over on there. On Spotify, it's not changed. It's just it's growing. It's growing as we're #leveling up. But because we've switched to a new YouTube, I think it's taken a bit of time to get across there. So just get across there. Well, if you're listening to this on Spotify, make sure you subscribe on the YouTube. But anyway, that's enough of the plugs. So
actually, some juicy content. So Finn, you're 2 days into prep.
Yeah, juicy.
You're hungry. You're struggling.
I'm okay so
Finn
far.
Finn said on Friday, first day of prep, he was like, I was thinking today, like, I get to go out for a meal with Shannon. Bearing in mind he's been on holiday for 2 weeks or a week and a bit of that, where he would have been eating off plan every night,
every day,
and
every meal,
pretty much every meal. Yeah, if you think about it,
every meal.
Yeah, and pretty much the first day of coming back into prep, and he's like, I'm getting off plan meal tonight with my girlfriend. No, unfortunately not. You're prepping now, buddy.
I wasn't thinking, I really want that.
No, it's routine.
Just, I've done it for the past like what. However long
I've done it every night for the last
125 weeks every
night.
Not every Friday.
Every night off plan meal.
But usually once a week.
Yeah.
Like we've been like me and Shannon, because we don't have any meals together. Like obviously the same with you and tonight. Like you might sit and have a meal together, but it's not the same meal.
Yeah.
So like when you actually do have a meal together, it's nice. So I was like, it's Friday, and because I've done it for so long now, it's like, what should we have tonight? And I just laughed to myself. I was like, literally just started prepping. I'm thinking like, what should I have tonight? Like, no, you're having what you've already got.
Food focus is too high, bro.
So yeah, but no, I lost 4 pounds on holiday. So obviously I went away. I went to Morocco for 7 days. I came back 4 pounds lighter, which I expected. I actually wrote down that I'd start prep at 193, and I went away at 197, and I started prep at 193. So I kind of just expected that to happen, and that was from kind of still eating what I wanted, still keeping protein high, but eating what I wanted to an extent. And staying relatively active. The hotel was massive, so like I was getting plenty of steps in anyway. If you want to see what my actual diet was, I did do a post on Instagram.
100 grams of fat per day.
Yeah, that was an estimation.
Yeah.
Probably would be around that, mate. All the food's cooked in oil. Like
when I went to Turkey, I was having because there was no egg whites or anything, so I was having 4 to 5 eggs. 4 to 5 whole eggs.
Yeah, this is where you need to.
Okay, well, you were saying like you were scraping off the egg whites and there was no boiled eggs where I went.
I don't think
there was.
Just didn't think of it.
Yeah, maybe. So what were you doing?
So this is what I was doing. Right, first day, I got an omelette.
Yeah.
And you can ask what you want. So I was like, can I have egg white? And they were like, well, so they didn't really get it.
Guys, if you're enjoying the podcast, please leave a like and subscribe and drop any comments with what you'd like to see moving forward.
When we were there for 2 weeks, it was so good because I had like the same egg man every day. And he knew after the first day, he was like, 3 egg whites, 2 whole eggs. Like he just knew who I was. But this time it was a bit different. So basically,
by the way, do you want to put that you put a voice on there? That was
racist.
A bit racist.
It was an
apologies to any Egyptians are out there.
Mohammed
Salah, if you happen to be listening.
Sorry if that's not your accent.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically, they were just doing 2 whole eggs, and they didn't really get what I was on about. Okay. But anyway, I had that. But then the amount of oil that they put on it was a joke. So like after that, I was like, I'm not having that. It was like it's too much.
Yeah.
But then I saw that they were doing poached eggs at a different bit. So I was like, oh, cool, I'll have poached eggs because then it's literally just in water.
Yeah.
So I had poached eggs as well. And then that was at the point where I was like, oh, I could just have the egg whites off of this
Yeah.
because it's a poached egg, and some of them were a little bit harder than I'd like. So I could just have the egg whites. And then I realised there was boiled eggs, and I was like, well, that's easy. Like, just have the egg whites. So after the first day, I started getting 2 fried eggs instead of the omelette, and then 3 boiled eggs, and just having the 3 egg whites.
Fair enough.
And then I had 2 protein yogurts, or 2 low. They're called natural yogurt. That's all it said. It was still like 3 grams of fat in each one, and they were like tiny pots.
Really?
Yeah. But the creamy ones were like 7 grams of fat.
Yeah. You get a protein yogurt, and you're like, oh, great. Yeah, like just 10
Well,
grams
it
of fat.
just said natural, and I was like,
Yeah.
it was natural and then creamy. So I was
And
like,
you
well,
were
that's
like,
the
natural.
lighter one.
I'm getting the natural
I'm
one.
natural.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm natural.
The
I'm
creamy
getting the
one
natural.
obviously had tren in it.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, my diet's on Instagram what I had anyway. But yeah, that was £4 down, which I kind of expected. Mainly just due to dropping off a lot of fatigue. Obviously, a week away, you're reducing stress, not training. Although I did train twice, but they were like not very
the
difficult
inflammation,
sessions.
fullness, etc.
Like
all
the
that sort of
equipment in
stuff.
the gym, it would have been difficult to have very demanding sessions, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was
moving
good.
around more,
I would
like you
definitely
said.
recommend Morocco. I think a lot of people have asked me like, oh, would you recommend it? How was the weather? I would recommend it, and it was red hot. It was like mid-20s, but it felt like mid-30s. It was like hot air, and the UV was really high. So we burned like pretty much straight away. But
So if you want skin
it was
cancer,
really good. Yeah, if
get to
Morocco's your place.
Yeah, Morocco's your place.
Yeah, no, the holiday was great. The first day was a bit stressful because the flight was delayed, and then we went to the wrong hotel because we thought we were at a different one. So yeah, we ended up getting to our hotel and like actually settled into our room like
Did
6
you go
hours
to check
late.
in? Did you like go
Yeah,
check in
mate,
and they were like, yeah, we don't have your name.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah, the whole thing, mate.
God, that's a nightmare.
There's 2 hotels.
Did you not look at it and go, this ain't look like the
Mate,
like the place on the
They're the
on
same
website?
hotel. They're both called Rio Agadir. They're both called the same thing. Rio Palace Agadir, but one of them is Agadir Tagazu, and one of them is just the Agadir one. So
when I
it's
went
like
to
the
Cuba,
second one.
we waited in a line, and there was like 2 hotels in the same venue, and there was one like Star Prestige area, and one that was just normal. And we were in this line like for the normal place for like honestly about an hour and a half. They got to the front and they're like, "We don't have your name." And then we were like, "This is where we showed them," and they're like, "Oh,
It's
yeah,
there.
you're just over there."
Where no one was.
Yeah, no one was there, and then we got checked in, and it was like 10 times nicer, and we were like,
Yeah.
"Sound, yeah."
So the first one we went to. So basically, there's 2. It was called Rio Palace, and there's one in Agadir and one in Tagazout. But they were both called. I'm sure they were both called like Rio Palace Agadir. But then the other one was called Tagazout. It said Tagazout after it.
Yeah.
Which was like half an hour away. So we got a taxi. It was like 15 quid. It wasn't a problem. But then even when we got the taxi, so it was cash, and we were like, well, we don't have any. Like it's called Moroccan dirhams. We're like, we don't have any. And he was like, oh, don't worry, I'll drive you. I'll find an ATM, and then you can get money out. So we did that, and then the first machine we went to wasn't working. And this was after we're already like 5-6 hours later than we should have been. So I was just like, I don't get like stressed, but I was just pissed off. I was like, this is fucking annoying. Like I've missed out on half a day of my holiday already with stuff that's just didn't need to happen. But then anyway, got the money out, got there. The hotel was class, but even then, when I got there, it was so big. I was like, just fucking get me my room. Like I don't know where I'm going. It's massive. I'm lost. Like, and then we got to the room. We just settled, and it was a really good week. Just chilling out. It was nice. Like I say, I would definitely recommend it for people who are maybe thinking or have thought of going to Morocco. Yeah, it's not even that far. It's like 3.5 hour flight to get to Africa. I think I don't know, but I imagine it's probably the closest place to us in
Tunisia
Africa.
is in somewhere in Africa, and that was like 4 hours.
Yeah,
And that was
Egypt's about 4, isn't it? They're
Mm.
all like North Africa, aren't they?
Yeah.
So no, it was good.
So,
And then started prep when I got back. Not the night I got back, but the day after. Guess
I'll
what
go
food I had
through-
the night I got back?
I'm not sure.
Guess.
What do you mean, like what do you mean the night you got back? Did you start prep the night you got back, or the day you got back?
The day after.
Oh, when you got back, I don't know. Was that your last off-plan meal? Was
Yeah.
it, what did you have an off-plan meal when you landed? I thought so. You didn't.
Well, guess
No.
so I was on the flight, right?
Yeah,
So I'd
yeah.
had normal breakfast.
burrito.
No, listen. I'd had
Okay.
normal breakfast, and then I got a tuna sandwich, which, to be fair, there's loads of tuna in it. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
That was from the airport. And then we were on the plane. We were sat again waiting. So the plane was delayed for 2 hours again on the way back. So I hadn't eaten for a while. So when we got back, I went to M&S in the airport, the Birmingham one, and I got 3 packets of prawns.
Yeah.
Because it made it digest like so well, and it was, I think they were like 20 odd grams in each.
Mhm.
And it's like very minimal carbs and fat. But then I was still way off like what my targets would have been,
Yeah.
and like I still knew I needed another meal. Like I still needed another protein serving.
So I went to Five Guys.
Nah, come on. What would you have in that scenario? I still need another protein serving. I've had loads of food off planned throughout the week on holiday anyway. What do I fancy that's a good protein serving, nice food, last meal? Guys, you're watching a clip from the Once You're In podcast. Please head over to Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Give us a 5-star rating and follow us along there as well.
Basin. No, what do you have then?
Nando's.
Oh, Nando's.
Sad,
I wouldn't say Nando's would be.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's exactly why, because I'd had 7 days of having different food. I just wanted like just a chicken wrap. Like I literally got a chicken wrap and then the sweet potato starter.
Fair enough. The goods, that's really good.
It is good.
Yeah, that's good. That's one thing I actually like. If I was to think,
Peronaise.
Peronaise, yeah, the sweet potatoes.
And I did get corn on the cob.
What we need to do is like, what's your Nando's order, guys? What do you go
comment
for?
below what's your Nando's order.
Yeah, drop us a message.
We never get any comments. I mean,
No,
we've got
we don't.
172 subscribers. What do we expect?
It's tragic, isn't it? So yeah, I just need.
Should we just stop the video now?
Yeah, just stop. We don't know why we're doing this. We're just thanks to the people listening on Spotify, YouTube. Come on, step it up. So yeah, started prep. What, you've been 2 days now? Do you want to go through the changes? You said 300 carb you pulled away. So let's go nutrition.
350
nutrition. What was your manipulations from food prior?
I literally just pulled away 350 carbs on trading days and then 250 on rest days.
Protein come down,
Protein the same. Fats the
protein?
same.
Do you know your macros off by heart?
Protein's 260 on a trading day. Yeah. Fats are protein 260, carbs 500, and fats 50. And then on a rest day, protein 250, so 10 grams down.
Yeah.
Carbs 250 because it was 500 and I halved it.
Yep.
And fats 60.
That's similar, like very similar. Like it's quite funny how that works. Like our percentages, and obviously we probably think relatively similar. Mine were a touch higher because my food was a little bit higher. Yeah, but in reality, like if you were to look at the percentage difference, it was very, very similar in the sense of how things are. And it's funny because, like, again, you could probably say, what, 300? You pulled 350 grams of carbs away, but it's like you could have, if you were to start at 600, you would have lost weight. But
probably not a huge amount.
No, you'd probably have a little bit of a fluid fluctuation. You might lose a pound, 2 pounds, but eventually you're going to get that down to 500. Then it's going to go to 400.
That's what we always say, don't we? Like, especially with with that thing. I know you were joking about what Beth said, but it's true. Like, people sort of think, oh, your food's too low too early, or again, like we've said before, like, oh, you're using your tools too soon. It's like, no, that's kind of the best way to do it. Yeah. Like, if anything, why look at your food and go, oh, probably shouldn't move it yet because
it's going to get lower.
Yeah, if anything, be like, right, well, I'm not going to finish prep on 500 carbs on train days. No. I might when I'm like refeeding, fueling back up, but what is the lowest point my food's likely going to get on or get down to? It's not going to be 500 carbs. It might be like on a train day 200. Like if you're lucky, it might not go much lower than that on a trading day. On a rest day, 100. If you're lucky than that, it might not go much lower. Yeah. So don't be afraid to get down towards that, like when it's needed.
Yeah, exactly. When you've got body fat, be aggressive. Cardio-wise, expenditure. So you're already doing cardio, weren't you?
Yeah, I was doing half an hour every morning.
But the intensity pushed up, didn't you?
Yeah, so basically I was doing half an hour. I started at 7:15 till 7:45. I basically just start at 10 past now till 7:45, so I do an extra 5 minutes a day. And my heart rate before was like generally about 110 on average, 110 to 120, and now I'm just making sure that it stays above 120. So I just basically, instead of having the recumbent bike on setting 4, I have it on setting 5, and it's like the same speed.
Yep. And then steps,
to be honest, like I tracked my steps previously, but I wasn't like, oh, I have to hit this goal. Like my step average was about 8 to 10,000. Without having to worry about it. I went on a walk in the morning. I'd do a walk pre-workout, like on the treadmill, like 5 minutes to 10 minutes, walk around the gym, and then I go on a walk in the evening for like literally, it's around the block, it's about 2 minutes. And that would get me about 8 to 10,000. So I've not changed anything other than that. Now I just have to check my watch now and again and think, oh, actually, I need to go on a bit of a walk to make sure I hit 10,000 every day. But yeah, that's it. Nothing else really needs manipulating. Like, sleep's the same. I wouldn't change sleep before prep.
Yeah, change sleep.
I'm gonna get like change three more hours sleep.
Yeah, it's funny because, like, if anything, there's literally been not a lot of change. Like, in the sense of, it wasn't like, oh, I was doing 4,000 steps, so I've had to double my steps. Or it wasn't where you were doing, let's say, no cardio, and you're like, right, I'm doing cardio, so it's such a chore. Like, I remember my last prep, I was doing daily cardio by the end of it. And I remember thinking to myself, like, Jesus Christ, this is like a bit of a ball ache. But because I've been doing daily cardio now for the last year,
it just feels normal.
Yeah, it's normal. Like, I enjoy it. Like, it's
that's
really.
Why, like, we literally spoke about it.